Frank, you Okay, we are calling this meeting of the Hackensack City Council to order. It is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. It is 5:31 p.m. If you can read the notice, please.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6, et sec., notice of which was posted on the municipal website pursuant to Public Law 2025, Chapter 72.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gaines?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Toomey?
Here.
Councilman Carroll?
Here.
Councilwoman Clark Collins?
Here.
Councilman Diaz?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise to the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are going to, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the March 24th, 2026 council meeting and April 6th, 2026 special council meeting.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask for a resolution to go into executive session to discuss ongoing litigation, Greco et al. Versus City of Hackensack, matters involving attorney-client privilege, matters involving the purchase, lease, or acquisition of real property, and any pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiations. Can I have a motion for a resolution to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. We are going into executive session. We will be back anticipated about 6:30, so please just sit tight. We'll be back as soon as possible. Thank you.
coming soon to Hackensack.
Have you signed up for our Nixle alerts yet? Nixle keeps you up to date by text and email with instant updates from our Office of Emergency Management, so you can get important information when it matters most. Get alerts about severe weather, emergency situations, road closures, severe traffic, criminal activity, and local events. Signing up is quick and easy. Text 07601 to 888-777. That's 07601 to 888-777. Don't wait. Sign up for Nixle alerts today and stay connected to what's happening in Hackensack. Stay informed and connected with everything happening in the city of Hackensack by subscribing to the Hackensack Weekly Newsletter. Each week, you'll get the latest updates on city services, events, important announcements, and more, delivered right to your inbox. Signing up is quick and easy. Just visit the city website to join. And if you have something to share, the newsletter includes a community bulletin for local announcements and events. Send your submissions to news@hackensack.org.
Coming soon to Hackensack.
Have you signed up for our Nixle alerts yet? Nixle keeps you up to date by text and email with instant updates from our Office of Emergency Management, so you can get important information when it matters most. Get alerts about severe weather, emergency situations, road closures, severe traffic, criminal activity, and local events. Signing up is quick and easy. Text 07601 to 888-777. That's 07601 to 888-777. Don't wait. Sign up for Nixle alerts today and stay connected to what's happening in Hackensack. Stay informed and connected with everything happening in the city of Hackensack by subscribing to the Hackensack Weekly Newsletter. Each week, you'll get the latest updates on city services, events, important announcements, and more, delivered right to your inbox. Signing up is quick and easy. Just visit the city website to join. And if you have something to share, the newsletter includes a community bulletin for local announcements and events. Send your submissions to news@hackensack.org.
Okay, thank you for your patience. We are out of executive session. We do have two proclamations this evening. One is for Ms. Dorothy Bullock Schroth, who celebrated her 100th birthday here in the city of Hackensack yesterday. We try to recognize our residents when they turn 100. That's everyone's incentive to live a nice long life. And we have this proclamation that will be picked up tomorrow by her family. Whereas Dorothy Bullock Schroth was born on April 20th, 1926 in Bristol, Tennessee. And whereas, despite an ironic early reluctance towards piano lessons, Dorothy developed a deep love for music that led her to earn a Master's of Arts in Music from Teachers College at Columbia University. And whereas Dorothy's distinguished musical career includes performances at town hall recitals, appearances at Carnegie Hall with members of the New York Philharmonic, and many years of service as an organist for the St. Mary's Cathedral Choir in Trenton. And whereas Dorothy and her late husband, Godfrey Schroth, an accomplished musician and composer who passed away in 2017, shared a life devoted to music, teaching, and artistic excellence. And whereas, for more than 70 years, Dorothy has contributed to the fabric of the Hackensack community by teaching piano to students ranging in age from 3 to 80 in countless house calls and by opening her home as a place to educate and inspire generations of students. And whereas, even at the age of 100, Dorothy continues to teach piano, finding joy and purpose in working with children, witnessing their growth, and celebrating the moment a student blossoms through perseverance and dedication. And whereas Dorothy's lifelong commitment to music education has enriched the cultural life of the city of Hackensack, strengthened the arts within our community, and demonstrated the lasting impact one dedicated educator can have across generations. And whereas, when reflecting on the life so fully lived, Dorothy reminds us that music, learning, and connection are keys to keeping the mind sharp, the spirit young, and the community strong. Now, therefore, I, Cassine Gaines, Mayor of the City of Hackensack, along with members of the City Council, the entire City Council, do hereby congratulate Dorothy Bullock Schroth on her 100th birthday and thank her for her extraordinary legacy of music education, artistic excellence, and decades of devoted service to the culture of the Hackensack community. And for those who missed it, yesterday she was featured on the very first page of the record, so it's an amazing testament and honor as well, and we will make sure that she receives this proclamation. Secondly, we have a proclamation in recognition of Autism Acceptance Month. Whereas the month of April is globally acknowledged as Autism Acceptance Month, a time dedicated to celebrating the humanity, agency, and diverse talents of our neurodivergent neighbors. And whereas autism is a vibrant spectrum, not a linear scale of ability, but a beautiful mosaic of different processing styles, communication methods, and sensory experiences that contribute to the rich neurodiversity of our human family. And whereas individuals on the autism spectrum are woven into the very fabric of our city, serving as dedicated employees, talented artists, and cherished friends who make Hackensack a more vibrant and compassionate place to live. And whereas our community is a leader in fostering inclusive opportunities such as Greens Do Good right here in Hackensack, where autistic residents learn the way in sustainable vertical farming, proving that innovation and neurodiversity go hand in hand. And whereas we celebrate the expansion of neuro-inclusive businesses within our state, such as Spectrum Designs, a premier apparel printer for global brands like Google, and Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation, which demonstrates the immense value and high-level skill of an autistic workforce. And whereas the city of Hackensack is committed to the dignity and safety of all its residents through initiatives like the police department's Blue Envelope program, which ensures clear, empathetic, and respectful communication between officers and neurodivergent drivers. And whereas true acceptance moves beyond clinical labels to affirm that every person deserves the autonomy and support to define their own path and life and live a full and fulfilling life on their own terms. Now, therefore, I, Cassine Gaines, Mayor of the City of Hackensack, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Autism Acceptance Month in the City of Hackensack, New Jersey. We urge all residents to recognize the brilliance of our neurodivergent community and to continue building a Hackensack that is not just aware, but truly inclusive, where every individual is empowered to thrive. And we usually try and have people receive these proclamations whenever possible. I called in a favor. There's an amazing actress and autism activist that I asked for Holly Robinson Pete, who you may know from 21 Jump Street and from The Talk and from Hanging with Mr. Cooper, to accept this on our behalf. So this is her message for us.
Hey, Mayor Gaines, it's Holly Robinson Pete, and I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to you and the entire Hackensack City Council for recognizing Autism Awareness Month, or even more importantly, Autism Acceptance Month. As a mother of a son on the spectrum and as an advocate, I can tell you that moments like this truly matter, because when a city chooses to see and uplift individuals with autism, it sends a powerful message to families. You belong here. My RJ has shown me that autism isn't a limitation, it's just a different way of experiencing the world. And I always say I wouldn't change RJ for the world, but I would always try to change the world for RJ. Autism is a spectrum full of brilliance and challenges and possibilities, and recognizing the fullness of those living with autism is how we move from awareness to acceptance. So thank you for leading with compassion and inclusion. It truly makes a difference.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to call up a presentation by the Main Street Business Alliance to present their 2026 budget.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, good evening. For those of you who may not be familiar with me, my name is John Peters and I serve as the Executive Director of the Main Street Business Alliance. The Alliance is the managing entity for the City of Hackensack Special Improvement District, a public-private partnership that has been in place for nearly 2 decades. The district encompasses Main Street generally from the Courthouse Green up north through the 7-Eleven, and a couple of side streets downtown. It gets a little complicated, but there's a couple of side streets we have as well. From its inception, the Alliance mission has been to promote the revitalization of the Special Improvement District. This mission clearly aligns with that of the city to serve as a catalyst for positive change and to ensure that the Main Street remains an attractive, active, and economically viable place to visit, work, and conduct business. I'm here this evening to present the proposed 2026 budget for the Special Improvement District, but before I do that, it's important to clarify that the district is not funded through the city's general tax levy. Rather, our operations are funded entirely through the special assessments paid by property owners within the district. Accordingly, the city's general taxpayers do not bear the cost of the district's operation. Instead, the budget is supported by those property owners who directly benefit from the services provided. The proposed budget supports a comprehensive range of supplemental services, including sanitation, landscaping, business retention and support, public relations, marketing, creative placemaking like the new Excel sculpture that's down in Atlanta Street Park, and the coordination of large public events and small. These initiatives are intended to enhance the overall appearance and vitality of the district, strengthening local businesses, and encourage increased pedestrian activity throughout the downtown. For example, Hackensack Oktoberfest last year, which many of you were able to come to when we thank you, attracted approximately 4,000 attendees, and our inaugural Salsa Social, with an event we had no idea how many people would show up, had approximately 500 participants. These family-friendly events continue to contribute a vibrant downtown atmosphere, increase foot traffic along Main Street, and provide tangible economic benefits to the businesses within the district. I'm happy to go through the budget. I'm not going to go through line by line, but I'll go through categories. You'll see that the 2025 budget was $708,021. What we did to try and keep it simple was keep the amount the same for this year, with a modest 2.9% increase just for increases in prices. The administrative and systems at $267,000. The Clean and Green initiative, which is anything from cleaning the garbage, the graffiti, the watering, and the weeding. We were able to get a new deal this year and have switched over to one vendor, and we saved a significant amount of money that is helping us produce another couple of events. The visual improvements visual improvement includes things like business recruitment and retention, but also the storefront improvement grant program, which allows us to go throughout the downtown and see some of the signs that are really needed, who really need some love and attention and actually need to be replaced. And we can give a financial incentive to those store owners to help do that. Plus, we give some modest sign grants to some of the new businesses that are coming onto Main Street. And then, of course, where we're spending most of our time and effort is in our signature events and marketing and the promotion of those events. Everything from the Hackensack Toberfest and a Main Street Music Festival and a parade to the Business Expo, which happens on May 14th. We hope to see everybody there at the Hackpack. The Banta Place Salsa Socials, where we tested one last year. We hope to have 4 this year. And that allows us to really address part of the community that I think has been neglected for some time. And event programming and marketing and social and all the PR and all the web that goes along with it. It's a significant amount of work, and that is in the final portion for $240,500. And that is the end of it, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, moving on to reports and presentations from professionals and department heads. We will have the public hearing on the Bergen County Trust Fund for Park Development application, Baldwin Park Splash Pad.
At this time, we will open the public hearing concerning the City of Hackensack's proposed submission of an application to the 2026 Bergen County Open Space, Recreation, Floodplain Protection, Farmland, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund for improvements at Baldwin Park. The project under consideration is the construction of a new splash pad at Baldwin Park. The proposed splash pad would be located in the area of the park where the old basketball courts are currently situated. This portion of the park is presently an underutilized paved area, and the city is seeking to repurpose it into a more active and family-oriented recreational amenity. The proposed project is intended to expand outdoor recreational opportunities for Hackensack residents, particularly children and families, by creating a safe, accessible, and engaging water play feature within Baldwin Park. The project is also intended to complement the park's existing amenities, including the nearby playground, and improve the overall functionality and attractiveness of the park. As currently envisioned, the project may include demolition and removal of the existing paved court surface, site preparation, installation of the splash pad and spray features, a recirculating water feature, drainage and utility improvements, ADA accessible surfacing and access improvements, walkways, seating, and a related site restoration work. This hearing is being held as part of the county's application requirements and is intended to provide the public with an opportunity to comment on the proposed park improvements before the mayor and council consider a resolution authorizing submission of the grant application this evening. For the benefit of the public, I will briefly note that this is a matching grant program. The city is seeking Bergen County open space funding for the project, and the city would be responsible for providing the required local matching share. The final grant request amount is based on the engineer's estimate prepared for the project. At this stage, tonight's hearing is for public input on the proposed improvement and the city's submission of the application. It is also important to note that this hearing and the associated resolution authorize submission of the application only. Final project implementation remains subject to county review, possible award, final scope confirmation, and all applicable design, permitting, and procurement requirements. Residents may also wish to know whether the project will be accessible. The city's intent is that the project be designed and constructed in compliance with applicable ADA accessibility requirements so that the splash pad can be safely used by as many residents as possible. Residents may further wish to know why this project is being proposed at Baldwin Park. The city believes that this project is an appropriate improvement because it would convert an older paved area associated with former basketball courts into a modern recreational amenity in the neighboring park setting, near existing family-oriented park features and in proximity to Fairmount Elementary School. At this time, we'll be asking to open the floor for public comment. If anyone wishes to be heard on the proposed Baldwin Park splash pad project or the city's submission of the Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund application, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Do we need a motion to open, or is that sufficient? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we have a motion to open to the public on this matter and this matter only?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we will ask for you to come forward. As the clerk said, state your name, your municipality, and I will keep time for you. As we get to the 3-minute mark, I will ask you to bring your point to a close. I just ask that you respectfully do that, and we'll keep it moving. Anyone from the public who would like to speak on the application for the Baldwin Park grant?
Hi, good evening. I'm Erin Messia. I'm at 229 Wilson Street. I attended the rec board meeting. I don't remember which one. It was the one before baseball and softball opened up. And Ms. Clark Collins, you commented that the splash pad was a no can do. So I'm just wondering if anything changed or...
So wait, hold on a second. I'm going to ask you just to finish up your comment.
Okay, okay, got it. I speak for at least 3 neighbors on Ross Avenue who have children who don't feel like a splash pad would enrich their direct community, their neighborhood. I'm not so sure that a splash pad belongs in that residential neighborhood right next to a school. I think it could complicate things after school. If we're looking at, revamping the park, I think there's a lot of great things that can be done, including the baseball field, repurposing that court into a turfed court, or maybe some open play structures. So I guess that's it. I just wanted to make those comments because I wanted to make sure that the splash pad's still on the table because I had heard that it was off the table at that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on the Baldwin Park grant application only? Thank you.
Good evening. Fred Miller, 134 Cedar Avenue, with parents that live on 279 Ross Avenue, and where I walk my kid from 279 to Baldwin. I was there yesterday. When I read about the splash park, I was a little disappointed. I think it brings a lot of liability and things that could happen to kids, when I think that money and attention would be better spent on the actual play structures, the stuff around the play structures, allowing all the mud and wood chips to flow out. If you look at the structure down at Nellie K. Parker and all the grippy stuff coming off of it, and the fact that it's very bouncy, the metal, I think we have parks in disrepair, and before we invest in splash pads, we should invest in keeping up what we have. That's my thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on the grant for Baldwin Park, the proposed grant for Baldwin Park? Okay, seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so Tim, just for a matter of formality, so we've closed on this. This is now a sealed thing, and then okay, great. All right. We are, yeah, no? All right, so Jim, we're going to call you up for the 2026 budget presentation, please. Thank you.
Wasn't John fast with his budget? Wow. Good evening, everybody. Okay, so we're here tonight to talk about the 2026 budget. Okay, the budget was introduced at the last council meeting on April 6th. It is scheduled for public hearing at the next council meeting on March 5th. The public hearing is scheduled for 5:30 and scheduled for adoption, assuming we get state approval by then. I haven't gotten state approval yet, still waiting to hear from them. But tonight we'll be talking about the budget itself. Now, since this is the first budget that we're doing together, okay, Before we get into the budget, I did just want to spend a little bit of time talking about the financial condition of Hackensack today, or the state of economy here in Hackensack, and particularly where we are in the economy and how we got here, and most importantly, what we need to do to improve. Okay, now to do that, I have this graph. Now, the Finance Committee has seen this graph before. I use it a lot because I really think it illustrates where we are. This is Hackensack's net valuations. Now, net valuations are the value of all property in the city. When people talk about taxes, okay, they usually are referring to the tax levy, which is that portion of the budget that has to be paid for with taxes. And we're going to be talking about the budget in a second. But the other part of taxes are the valuations, the value of all of the property in the city. Now, this chart represents the last 20 years, beginning 2007 all the way to the left to 2026, which is all the way to the right where we are today. You see a large slope down, followed by a slope up, to where we are today, which is another short slope downward, okay? Right now, with that slope downward, we're currently in this period of economic decline, and that needs to be reversed. And I have to explain how we got here, because that's very important for taxes, okay? So that first slope down, that was the period of recession. That was 2007 to 2015. And the Great Recession was 2008. That affected everybody nationwide. Everybody's property values dropped. That happened throughout the entire country. But it was a recession. Recessions are short. Depressions are long. Recessions are short. The recession was over by the end of 2009, beginning of 2010. And that's when the recovery began. So in the area around Hackensack, all the communities bordering on Hackensack in central Bergen County all started to recover at the end of 2009, beginning of 2010. But not Hackensack. Hackensack continued to drop in valuations. By 2011, all the other municipalities around us had all fully recovered. Hackensack kept dropping in valuations. Now, when valuations drop, the tax rate rises. That's the correlation between the two. And when the tax rate rises, businesses tend to either close, flee, or in some cases, what they do is they knock their buildings down so they don't have to pay taxes on it. And that causes valuations to drop even more. They drop even more, the tax rate rises even more. So that brings us to 2015. And from 2015 to 2021, was this period of recovery. And this is what you can call the era of redevelopment. And it was seen then that that pilots were going to be the main tool to try and attract development and grow the valuations by bringing in new properties. The theory being, you give a tax break to a property in the hopes that it's going to attract 20 new properties. And the 20 new properties are going to generate tax revenue to make up for the tax break that the piloted property got. Okay? And during this period, 2015 to 2021, it worked. Valuations grew. Valuations increased by $1.9 billion during this period. City fully recovered what it had lost during that first period, and then some. And as valuations increase, the tax rate falls. The tax rate fell every single year from 2015 to 2021. And during this period, 18 pilot awards were granted. Okay, now that's up to 2021. Now, 2022, valuations dropped. Okay, and it wasn't a big drop, but it was a drop. Okay, and it doesn't occur to anybody except for somebody like me, and it could be a one-time event. it's nothing really to be concerned about until 2023 when they drop for a second time. And that's a concern, okay? 2 years in a row is a problem. When they drop 3 years in a row in 2024, that's an area for alarm, okay? That's a cause for me to look at it and try and figure out what's happening here. We dropped 3 years in a row, okay? In finance, when something's wrong, you got to look at it, find out where the problem is, and then figure out what needs to happen to fix it. So when I studied the 3 years of drops, I found that the drop is occurring in the commercial sector. Commercial valuations were dropping. Why? Well, big reason was because of tax appeals. A business owner appeals his taxes, he wins. When he wins, the assessment is lowered. That brings the valuations down. That was a big part of the problem, but not the only part. The other part of the problem was when we award a pilot, that commercial property comes off the tax rolls completely. Now, what I saw when I checked this was commercial valuations were dropping. Okay, that was tax appeals. And you could say, oh, that was 100% tax appeals. But at the same time, tax-exempt property rose. That's not tax appeals. That's pilots. That's property coming off the rolls, and our valuations are dropping. Now, during this period, 2021 to 2026, 10 more pilots were awarded. Now, the 10 pilots were awarded, 3 of them were rescinded on the first meeting of your administration. But during this period, we're not seeing any growth. We're not seeing any new ratables coming in, okay? But there were 7 net pilots that were awarded. Okay? So at this point in time, like I said, we're in this period of economic decline. It's obvious that pilots as a fiscal policy is not working. It's not attracting any growth. We haven't had growth since 2021. So what's needed now is not just a new policy. What's needed is an entirely new financial vision for the city, something that looks at the entirety of Hackensack's economy. Okay? Pilots tend to laser in on municipal revenue. They're very good for municipal revenue. Okay? But when you look at the whole thing, okay, they are coming off the tax rolls. All right? Now, if they're bringing in other ratables, well, that's great. But if they're not bringing in other ratables, then they're hurting. You know, kind of reminds me of when my kid was young and got the flu, and I took him to the doctor. Doctor wrote a script for antibiotics, and there were no refills, so I tried to refill it. And called the doctor, I need a refill. He says, no, you don't refill antibiotics. Once he's cured, he's cured. You give him antibiotics, you keep giving him antibiotics, you're going to do more harm than good. Kind of the same analogy, more harm than good. So we need a financial vision that looks at the entirety of the Hackensack economy. Now, your administration, looking at a whole instead of pieces, has been the vision of your administration since you took office. You've been saying at every council meeting, one way or another, that we are one city, one community, one set of problems. Mayor, I've said, you've said it, and I just like the phrase that Hackensack is more than just one street. And I really do like that turn of a phrase. So you need to apply that same vision of yours to the financial policy that you set. Now, let's get back to the budget for a second. Okay, what a budget is the financial plan for the governing body to achieve their vision for the city. Okay? So the 2026 budget seeks to put all of the city's resources to work all of the time and for the benefit of all of the residents. 2026 budget needs to be completely consistent with the vision that the mayor and council has. Now, the budget it must include funding for the priorities that the mayor and council have identified. Has to do that. But at the same time, it also has to address budget issues that affect the future financial health of the city. It's vital that the budget looks to the future. A budget can't be considered as a one-year event. When that happens, it causes trouble. All right? And part of the problem that we're trying to rectify today was caused by last year's budget not doing that. Okay? I'll speak more about that a little bit later. But it's very important to always remember that the budget always has to look to the future. And finally, the budget has to keep the tax increase as low as possible, but still not lose sight of those first 2 points. Okay, now the 2026 budget does hit all of those 3 points. The increase to the tax levy is, as I said at the budget introduction, 10.25%. Okay, there are a number of different reasons for that I'll be getting into, but that translates into the average home in Hackensack. That comes out to $46.48 per month. Now, you as a governing body have every right to demand to know 3 things. Why is the increase that high? Has the administration done everything to keep it as low as possible? And what have we in the administration done to make sure that in the future we won't see a high increase like that? Okay. Briefly, in the budget, we're looking at a spending increase of $7.1 million over last year. Health benefits are up $6.3 million. I'll talk about that. And our bill from the Bergen County Utilities Authority is up $900,000. I'll talk about that. Okay. We haven't seen any increase in non-tax revenue from last year. Okay, that's not helping. And from last year, there's a drop of $1.6 million in local revenue, which I'll explain more about later. But from a poor budget projection last year, the 2025 budget, as I said, the 2025 budget didn't look to the future. Poor budget decisions regarding local revenue in the 2025 budget, what that did was that postponed what should have been a 2025 tax increase, pushed it into a 2026 tax increase. In short, what should have happened should have been a tax increase in 2025. Should have been a larger tax increase in 2025, which would have translated to a smaller tax increase in 2026. The 2025 budget didn't look to the future. We're rectifying that in 2026, and again, I'll speak more about that later. Okay, now getting back to the spending increase, which is the main driver in this budget. And spending increase, health benefits are up $6.3 million. Now, health benefits have been an issue statewide for 4 years now. Okay, there's been a lot of talk about health benefits, health care costs, everything. Now, it would be, I'm sure that all across the state, there are CFOs telling their governing body, health benefits are up. There's nothing you could do about it. It's out of our control. Okay, and that may be true for their municipalities, but that's not true in Hackensack. Okay, other municipalities may belong to the state health benefits plan where they pay premiums and they're told what the premiums are and they have to pay those premiums. They have no choice. Okay, but in Hackensack, we're self-insured. Okay, we pay claims instead of premiums. And because of that, we do have the ability to look at our own claim data, and like I said before about valuations, look at where the problem is, see what we can do and actually take steps to fix it. Now, I've been looking at claim data since 2023, and we have been trying different things to try and fix this problem. But last year, from 2025 to now, our medical and RX claims are up $3.7 million, which is a 13% increase. All right. In the state health benefits plan, the premiums, which is kind of like the apples to apples comparison, those are up 36%. So we're in better shape than the state health benefits plan. But our problem is that we have excess loss insurance. Okay, and what that is we pay claims. Okay, but we can only pay so much. If there's a claim for something that's extremely costly, I think an organ transplant is needed, okay? We wouldn't have the money for that. We have insurance for that. So once a claim goes over a certain amount, our insurance kicks in. Now, in 2025, the claims were so high, okay, that we had a lot of these high claims that went against our insurance. So much so that it drove our premium for this year up $2.6 million, which was a 48% increase on that policy. Now, our policy has a clause that says you can't raise our premium more than 50%. So they didn't raise it 50%. They raised it 48%. Okay? Now, it was these runaway medical claims in 2025 that formed the basis for the medical budget in 2026. And those same runaway medical claims in 2025 that set the premium for our excess loss insurance, our premium that's up 46% from last year. So we have to look at those runaway claims, find out what the problem is, all right, and take care of it. Okay, that's the job. Now, like I said, 6.3 million, and we need to know what are we doing about that, okay? Because that's driving the increase, and that can't stand. So like I said, 2025, monthly medical claims were literally through the roof, higher than I've ever seen. Now this chart shows monthly claims. Now the first, on the left side of the chart, on the left side of the red line, is January to June of last year. The blue bar shows monthly claims for 2024. Whoops. And there we go. Okay, so the blue bar on the left side are monthly claims for 2024. The gold bar are the monthly claims for 2025. So you can see how much higher 2025 was from 2024. If you look at March, 2025 claims were more than double what 2024 was. April was almost double what 2024 was. May was way more than double what 2024 was. This is what we were looking at last year. You know, claims were up an average of 94% per month. Okay, this is what I was doing pretty much every day for the first part of last year. So we had numerous meetings with Blue Cross, trying to figure out what we were doing, meeting with our insurance broker, and we took a number of steps. We put a number of measures in, all right? And then beginning in July, we started to see relief. So the right side of that red line, same thing. There are monthly claims. Same blue bar represents 2024, and the gold bar represents 2025. And you see what a difference it made after July, okay? We went from averaging 94% increases to averaging only 5% increases, okay? That's the good news. Now, when we found out last December that because the claims were so high in the beginning part of the year, they were raising our insurance by 48%. You recall, Mayor, we reported that at the Finance Committee. Didn't go over too well, all right? You convened a special meeting of the entire council. We talked about it. You wanted additional measures taken to try and put a lid on this. So beginning in January of 2026, we had Blue Cross put in another layer, okay? What they did was, at their own cost, no cost to us, they put in another stopgap measure where they put another level of overseeing certain out-of-network claims, some claims that were driving up our high increases, okay? Now that is, on the left side of this chart, that's the green for January, February, and March. So you see, so far this year in 2026, we're running pretty far below last year. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I don't have the data, but judging by what I read and everything else, it wouldn't surprise me if we're the only municipality in New Jersey whose medical claims right now in 2026 are running less than 2025. Medical costs don't go down, okay? They do go up. All of this is good news for us for 2027, okay? It can't change the 2026 budget. 2026 budget is based on claim data from 2025, okay? To not budget based on the 2025 data would be irresponsible. We would be gambling with public money, okay? And that would not be good, sound budgeting practices. But it does look good for 2027. The claim activity that we're looking at least for definitely the last 9 months, is definitely going to translate into a much, much lower insurance premium for 2027. So all in all, bad news for the 2026 budget, that we're doing as much as we can, but it does look well for 2027. Okay? All right. So back to the spending increase, 7.1 million. Of that, 6.3 million are the health benefits. And our bill from the Bergen County Utilities Authority, which handles all of the sewage in the city, okay? All the sewage gets collected in our sanitary sewer system, and it gets piped to the BCUA treatment plant in Little Ferry. That bill is up $900,000. That's from a rate increase from the BCUA. Our actual usage is down from last year, but that's a massive rate increase, okay? Other municipalities in Bergen County are feeling the same thing. That is actually out of our control, okay? But those two items, health benefits and the sewage bill, okay, add up to 7.2 million. Our total spending is up 7.1 million. That means the entire rest of the budget, all of the other spending that's within our control, is actually down $100,000. Okay, that's the spending that's within our control. We tried to cut spending wherever we could to try and mitigate that increase as much as we could. And you'll note down in the lower corner, okay, that's the transfer, the emergency transfer to the Board of Education, which is not part of that $7.1 million increase. Okay, now, we cut where we could, still keeping in mind that we still have to include in the budget the areas that you wanted to see. Now, since you've come in office, there has been a change in city government, okay? There are priorities, there's a shift in priorities, and areas of the government have been shifted. And there have been a number of areas that have been neglected for years, okay, that we're now taking care of, should have been taken care of a long time ago, okay? For example, snow removal, okay? Now, fortunately, we had a big snowstorm this year, and we were able to use the snow removal trust. But over the last, I'd say 6 or 7 years, we've been cutting the snow removal budget, and we haven't been replenishing the trust. So right now, the trust is lower than, it's uncomfortably low, let me put it that way. We need to fix that by starting to increase the snow removal budget. Should have happened years ago. Similarly, we put a lot of money recently, in the last few years, into our pump stations, okay? Our project manager has been recommending for the last few years that we increase the budget for maintenance and monitoring, protect our investment. Project manager wasn't in charge of his department until recently, and so we've increased, we've granted his budget request because he's right. We do need to protect that investment, okay? We're investing in this budget in DPW heavy-duty vehicles. We bought garbage trucks this past December. The library donation, the city donates every year to the library. We haven't increased in fact, we've decreased the donation to the library pretty much every year for at least the last 10 years, or kept it flat. At least the last 10 years, possibly longer. And I don't remember, I should know this, but I don't remember the last time the library donation was ever increased. But the library does a great job, and the library does an excellent job of using their own money for the many renovations that they're doing. They don't rely on city money, and that's excellent, okay? And this year, for the first time, and I don't know how many years, I wish I did, they're seeing an increase in their donation. The police department has been operating for the last few years with an operational structural deficit, and that needs an explanation. A structural deficit occurs when, if something doesn't change in the police budget, at some point, the money's not going to be there to handle something in the budget, and the structure is going to collapse. And what's going to be needed is a massive infusion of cash that could only come from one place, and that's taxes. So it needs to be addressed now. It's one of those pay me now or pay me later, and you need to pay now, because if you pay later, it's going to be huge. Now, I recognized this a few years ago, but wasn't able to take care of it. And as it turned out, the chief recognized it years ago, and he wasn't able to take care of it. When we got together this year, we both agreed that this has to be taken care of. Now, the reason for it is that in the last few years, we've made a huge investment in technology equipment in the police department. It's impressive. A lot of computers, surveillance equipment, drones, body-worn cameras, a lot of technology equipment purchased with federal forfeiture money, money that comes from the federal government when they make a drug bust, they seize the money, and then they distribute it to local governments, okay? We took advantage of that money, and we bought a lot of technology equipment. Great. Didn't hit our budget. That's excellent. But that equipment needs to be maintained, okay? To maintain it, you need maintenance contracts. You have to have maintenance contracts, okay? We need a budget for that, okay? And the budget for that is large, okay? That has to be put in, okay? Also, there has never been a plan to improve the police building, okay? So the chief and I met. We talked about amending the capital plan to make improvements to the police building, similar to a plan that city manager and I did with the firehouses back in 2016, I think it was, okay? We'll be amending the capital plan to start taking care of that this year. And then finally, we need to do something about police vehicles, okay? The fleet is old, it's small, we need more cars, we need them modernized, and we need something in place that this happens on a regular basis. We put money in the budget 10 years ago for police cars, and the budget has never kept up with the rising cost of police cars. So what's happened? The number of cars on the road every year gets smaller, and the cars get older. As if that keeps happening, eventually there's going to be one old car driving around town. So I met with the chief and Captain Ziza, and to fix that, what we're going to do is we implemented a lease-to-own program. All right, we're going to lease cars. All right, and the way it works, just quickly, it's on a 7-year cycle. We're going to start off by leasing 10 cars, and then pretty much every year in this cycle, we're going to replenish it with 5 new cars every year. Okay, and they'll constantly bringing in new cars and retiring the old ones. Okay. By the end of 2032, which is only 6 years from now, we'll have 35 cars that are less than 6 years old. And that'll address, finally, the issues we have with police cars. And in addition to the cuts that we've made to try and keep the tax increase down as much as possible, there are other operational savings, okay? The position of the police director has been eliminated. Very large savings in the police salary and wage budget because that was a very large salary. Similarly, in the DPW department, the DPW superintendent position was changed from one full-time to 2 part-time positions, which saves us on health benefits. And given the cost of health benefits, that's now a significant savings. Anytime we can change a position from one full-time to part-time and save on the health benefits, it's going to be significant, okay? There was always a duty overlap of field maintenance between recreation and DPW. We have a new recreation superintendent, so we've worked out that duty overlap. And right now we're doing a very closer monitoring of legal bills, including legal bills that are paid for by our insurance broker, which, believe it or not, has never happened before, okay? That's happening. And I always say, when people know that you're looking, they tend to get a little sharper with their pencil, okay? All of that is going on right now. All right, speaking of the rest of the budget, okay, our salaries and wages, okay, 48.3 million, okay, which is a 3.1% increase from last year. That percentage is a little bit higher than it usually is. And the reason for that is because for the last 3 years, we've been operating with a SAFER grant that we got in 2022, which paid for the salaries of 5 firefighters. It was a 3-year grant. So these 5 firefighters were paid for in the 2023 budget, 2024, 2025. That grant has expired. So now the full salary of those 5 firefighters has to be absorbed in the 2026 budget. And that's the reason why that percentage is a little bit high. The department other expenses, which is the area where we have the most control, is down 5% from last year, okay? And this is where we made the most cuts. And typically, this is where our department heads are very good at holding the line on spending, okay? Year after year, they do very good at holding their spending in this area, okay? Statutory expenses is a large part of the budget, 14.3 million. These are expenses we have to make. It's pension, Social Security, and unemployment. A few years ago, we used to see huge increases in this that we don't have control over, but fortunately for the last 3 years, including this year, we haven't seen large increases. This year, it's relatively flat from last year. Okay, so to sum up, okay, with the 2026 budget, Okay, the tax increase does translate on the average home in Hackensack would be about $48.13 per month. All right. The budget, the reason for it, spending is up 7.1 million, and that's because our health benefits are up 6.3 million, and our BCUA bill is up 900,000, but the rest of the budget is down 100,000. Okay. Along with that, poor budget decisions from last year led to a missed revenue projection of 1.6 million. Now, you miss a revenue projection, that has to be made up in the following year budget. There's only one way you can make up revenue, and there's only one way you can make up non-tax revenue, and that's with tax revenue. And that has to happen in the 2026 budget. And that is extremely unfortunate. Okay? And finally, in the 2026 budget, proper fiscally conservative budgeting practices are now back in place, which will prevent that problem, which happened from 2025 and impacted 2026. That'll prevent that from happening in 2027. And if I could just say on a somewhat personal note, this is my 13th budget with the city. And over the years, I haven't spent more time talking about anything more than tax stabilization. Okay? I've gone back and actually sometimes watched my presentation and actually taken a drink every time I said tax stabilization. That the thing to avoid, to always avoid, are wide fluctuations from one year to the other. And the way to do that is by always looking ahead in your budget to the next year. And that didn't happen last year. And I commend you as a council for doing that this year and bringing us back to those proper fiscally conservative budgeting practices and putting us back on track, okay? And that is how we will hold the line on tax increases next year. Okay, that's the budget. As I said, the public hearing is scheduled for the next council meeting, which is May 5th at 5:30. And assuming we receive state approval by then, after the public hearing, later that night, we'll be voting to adopt. Okay, and at this point, be happy to answer any questions at all.
Mr. Mangan, how much is in the police forfeiture fund?
Our police forfeiture fund?
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure.
Give me a number.
It could be, it's probably at least 4 million.
4 million?
Yeah.
And you want us to pay for new police cars?
Yes.
Really?
The reason for that is because it's 4 million today. It won't always be 4 million.
But it's 4 million.
It's 4 million today,
Okay,
yes.
that's all.
Sure.
So basically, what I kept hearing you say is that things should have been done a certain way, but weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And since we got in, things have been improving, correct?
Yes.
So why, so for example, when you gave the example that in 2022, 2023, 3 years in a row, evaluations dropped, why, when it dropped the third year, why continue on the same pattern of the pilots, let's say, if it wasn't working?
Yeah, excellent question. Deputy Mayor, I'm not, or I haven't been part of the redevelopment discussions, okay? So
you are the CFO.
yeah, and similar to you're on the finance committee, and I reported to the finance committee, and I would report every year of a drop in valuations. Okay, but I wasn't part of the redevelopment discussions. But I would report to the finance committee.
I wonder why weren't you part of those important discussions?
Now you can draw your own conclusions, but but you're exactly right. That is a failed
'Cause
policy.
you also
If your
say-
valuations are dropping, why do a policy that drops your valuations? Excellent question.
Okay. Also, poor budget decisions regarding local revenue from the 2025 budget postponed a 2025 increase to 2026. So poor decisions were made. And by whom and why were poor decisions made?
Okay, well, obviously, I do the budget, okay? But a budget is policy, okay? And I'm not lying, I have a lot to do with the budget, okay? But I don't have the final say on the budget. For example, if you wanted me to, if you were to say to me, we don't want a 10-quarter tax increase, cut it. Well, I could cut it in the areas where, like I said, we would have to cut and not be able to do the things that you want, okay? Because ultimately, it is your decision, okay? Now, last year, okay, here's a budget, here's a tax increase, all right? Ultimately, it is the council's decision. If that tax increase is too high, go back and cut, either cut appropriations or increase revenue. Either one will lower the tax levy.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
So, going off the deputy mayor's question, so last year, there was $1.6 million in missed revenue projections. So I'm curious about, in this I'll call it draft process, where you're having conversations with the previous iteration of the finance committee, which is a part of the previous council and administration. Can you illuminate what contributed to those missed projections? Was there a more responsible budget that was presented and that got whittled away into a more irresponsible budget, or what assurances does the public have that this is not going to happen again?
On the last bullet, I had said that this budget is a return to proper fiscally conservative budgeting practices. Now, proper budgeting practice or proper fiscally conservative budgeting practices would be that when you project revenue, you project how much revenue is coming in, all right? What you want to do is you want to project your revenue to be a little bit less than what you actually think is going to come in. Because if you miss that projection, you're impacting next year, okay? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you lowball that number. Now, under the law, you're allowed to anticipate exactly as much as came in the year before. That's not a good practice. That is not fiscally conservative budgeting. You want to come in much lower. Now, in certain areas, like fees and permits or construction revenue, you really want to come in lower because you don't know why that number was up there. There could be a one-time event. So you want to make sure that you really do lowball that number. That's proper budgeting. That's not what happened last year. Those two areas, fees and permits and construction revenue, which are substantial revenue sources substantial non-tax revenue sources, were brought up to the absolute maximum. And then, like I said, the numbers didn't come in, all right, to the tune of 1.6 million. So now in this budget, now what we have to do is we have to not only anticipate less to the tune of 1.6 million, but now reinstitute proper fiscally conservative budgeting practices and lower it even more to get us back on track.
So I just want to make this point because it sounds to me like there was a desire to get to a certain number optically, as opposed to a desire to properly budget and fund the city government. And it also sounds to me, you're welcome to correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds to me like there was data that was presented. You can see the healthcare costs. You can see that evaluations were going down. You can see that ratables were coming off the tax rolls. And yet the body, the governing body, the people that voted on the budget, insisted on living in a sort of la-la land and ignoring that healthcare costs were rising, ignoring that ratables were going down, and sticking to this policy of issuing 30-year pilots that did not actually attract ratables. All they seemed to attract was more 30-year pilots. And so it seems like now that we have the things that are within the city's control in terms of taking $100,000 out of the budget in terms of spend while also funding the things that need to be funded and not letting things atrophy like had been done for the last however many years. There's a price that's being paid now for last year's budget, which, if my memory serves, was an election year.
Oh, really?
By coincidence. And I don't remember the alarm ever being sounded that healthcare costs were climbing by 94% in the run-up to a municipal election. I don't remember anyone sitting up here saying that. Everything was wonderful. And then, Frank, can you do me a favor for a quick second? Can you go back to the thank you, yep, the bar graph with the healthcare costs?
Yep.
And then that red line is when we're here. And that's when things start trending downward.
Coincidentally.
Coincidentally, right. So, and I don't want anyone to be confused on Hackensack happenings. Not coincidentally, actually, because things have been put in place. I know you're joking.
I was, sorry.
And so, I just want to make clear that, and again, if I'm misunderstanding anything.
If you are, I'll jump in.
Great.
I haven't jumped in yet.
Great. So I just want to be clear about what is contributing to this, that this is based on 2025's spend, and it's not even all of 2025 because we were able to collectively put things in place to rein in the things that technically should be outside of our control.
Yeah. The first 6 months of 2025, the first 6 months were so bad. That's what impacted our increase in our premium. That's how bad that was. Now, had they looked at the entire year of 2025, I truly believe that they looked at the first half of 2025 and said, how high can we raise this premium? And somebody said, raise it 75%. They said, oh, no. Their contract says they can only go 50% because their contract says that. And they said, okay, well, 48%. I really believe that's what happened.
I just want to you mentioned this in your presentation, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. regarding the pilots. Because the pilots come off the tax roll, they're really a double whammy. Number one, they're bringing down the commercial valuations because you have big properties, credit union site, Bruce the Bed King. You have these large tax-paying entities that now come off the rolls and hurt valuations. Sears come off the rolls and hurt valuations. But then also, because of their payment schedule, they're a fixed cost. So when you have these increases in healthcare,
I know what you're saying.
the increases are borne by everyone else who's in the tax pool.
That's right. They get a built-in tax freeze.
They get a built-in
You're
tax
right.
freeze.
Yeah. Yeah. The pilots that were issued, say, 2 years ago, that are still being built, yeah, they're paying 2023 tax rates.
Based on
You're right.
negotiated 2018, 2019 numbers.
Right. Well, they're paying the taxes from the year before the exemption was granted. But yeah, they're going to keep paying those taxes until they start leasing. You're right. That's what I'm saying, Mayor, when I said you got to look at the entirety and not just laser in on the revenue, not just look at that revenue number. Look at the whole thing. Oh, no, you're right, Phil. You certainly are. And what we've said before about the way pilots are billed is another example, okay? The way pilots are billed. We're changing the way pilots are billed. And I believe we talked about this at the intro. The way that we're changing the way that pilots are billed, okay, which will bring in more revenue in 2026, which will help our surplus, which will help the 2027 budget, but it can't help the 2026 budget because we can only anticipate what came in last year. But yeah, Phil, you're exactly right. Look at everything.
Mr. Mangan, thank you, Mayor. Excuse me, but I'm not quite clear yet. And please correct me if I'm wrong. You said that the monthly medical claims were sky high on the first 6 months of the year, and you saw that it was necessary to implement some measure, for the second part of the year, and it went down. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so what did you implement on the second half of the year that couldn't be implemented on the first half?
Well, if you see the claims, January, February, March, it was in March when we sounded the alarm bells, It was in April when we started meeting regularly, and then in May is when we started meeting regularly with Blue Cross, okay? We couldn't go back to the first of the year. But in terms of what we implemented, now remember, we can't change coverage, okay? That all has to be negotiated, all right? And when I looked at the claims, okay, it wasn't the in-network claims that were the problem because in-network, all those costs are negotiated. Okay, so they weren't the problem, okay? It was the out-of-network claims. And we zeroed in on where the problem was, and working with Blue Cross, that's what we targeted.
Yes, but still, I see here, January, February, and March, it went up. Then it came down in April. But
No, in the yellow is 2025.
I mean, in 25, but then it went up again in May.
Yes. The changes didn't kick in until July.
So that means that in March, we still didn't know for sure what was going on, that we couldn't avoid whatever happened in May.
Right. All we knew was it was going up. In March, it went up huge. Well, May it went up really big.
We was they at that time. I just want to be clear. We, in March of 2025, was the city. It was not us sitting up here. I just want to be clear.
So I have a question, I'm sorry. Finishing up with this medical claims. Typically, I still don't understand exactly what drove all these claims, like in that particular period of time, January through June. But typically, Don't you get more medical claims towards the end of the year? Because, you know, usually January, people are trying to meet their deductible, right? And then towards the end of the year, people try to get all their medical appointments done by the end of the year, so they don't have, you know.
I'll be perfectly honest, I thought the exact same thing, and I talked to our broker, and I said, you know, because I said when we got the data, I said, yeah, well, things should taper off now because it's January. And he said, oh, no, his claims shoot up in January. I said, well, that doesn't make sense. I said, because people have to meet their deductible.
Right.
So I would think that once the deductible is met, yeah, then they're going to start going with more frequency. And he said, no, what we see is that to meet their deductible, they go with more frequency. That's surprised me, okay? I can't see that in the data, you know? But I thought the exact same thing. And I go in network, so you can't go by me. Yes.
Mr. Mangan, could you explain to us how the 10.25% increase is going to be applied to taxpayers? Because it's not just a matter of taking your total tax bill and multiplying
Yes.
it by 10%, correct?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the 10.25% is the increase to the levy, okay? And okay, yeah, all right. Okay, now you can credit the city attorney for this, all right? When you do a budget, you start with how much money do you need to spend? And in our case, the total budget's 146 million, okay? That's how much money we have to spend, okay? And then what you do is you take in how much money is coming in that's not taxes from everything, you know, fees, permits, court costs, everything that's not taxes. You take all of that money that's coming in, and that's $44 million, all right? And you subtract that from the budget, and that leaves $101 million. That's the tax levy, okay? Now, that tax levy is 10.25% higher than what it was last year. That doesn't mean that anybody's tax bill is going up 10.25%. It just means that that levy, that portion of the budget that's paid for with taxes, is 10% higher than last year. Now, what'll happen is that levy, that $101 million, will then get divided into our total valuations, which was on that first slide, and that'll generate a tax rate, which I am projecting to be 3.518. And that becomes, again, my projection is the new tax rate. You take your home and its assessment, and you would apply the tax rate, and that would be your tax bill. Okay? Now, next month, in May, we'll be doing a resolution for estimated tax bills. And when we do the resolution for estimated tax bills, I'll be projecting just that, an estimated tax rate. Don't go by my rate, this is my notes, but next month I'll be doing that whole exercise.
And so normally the final bill comes out in August, correct?
The estimated bill comes out in August because the county is always late. They're always the ones that we're waiting for. So then the county comes out with their they finally come out in August. So then in September, what we do is we send what's called the final bill. We make the adjustment to the estimate, okay, and we fix it in the fourth quarter, all right, and that's what comes out, and that's called the final bill. Okay.
So going back to your poor budget decisions,
Mm-hmm.
You had said that because of missed revenue, which would be the non-tax revenue, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, so in that non-tax revenue is fees, permits, construction costs, et cetera, correct? And also would be the health benefits, but you had already explained how you've corrected the health benefit problem. Can you please explain to us how you plan to correct the fees and permits and construction costs and so on?
Okay, so because of what happened last year, now our hands are tied on what we can anticipate in 2026. We can only anticipate what comes in, all right? But to restore proper budgeting practices, we're going to deliberately lower that number, okay? So to a number that we know is going to come in, a number that we know that we're going to hit, so that we don't have this same problem next year. And that's how we're going to fix that problem.
Okay,
That's
but-
what should have happened last year.
Well, let me ask you this. Are we doing any type of evaluation on our fees and permits and construction costs to see if maybe they're in alignment with other municipalities?
Yeah. Earlier this year, the city manager at a department head meeting ordered all the department heads to review their fees, look at all the surrounding communities, make recommendations to change our fee ordinance wherever possible. And that should be done every year.
Is there anything else that we can look at
Well,
the same way?
Yeah,
to
we're always on the lookout for new revenue. New revenue is great, okay? Cannabis revenue goes up every year. That's good, okay? And then we're always trying to look for anywhere we can get new revenue. Anywhere we can get a fee, we can get a fee. You know, I'm always looking for any crazy place to get a fee.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think we're gonna move on a moment, but I just want to make very clear for everyone before we move on with the agenda. And thank you, Jim, by the way. Thank you.
Sure.
That the number, the 10 1/4 number is not. It's not take your bill and multiply that
Please
by
don't.
10 1/4. That is not what that number is representing. There is a number in the presentation. I believe that number is about 48, was it 19, something like that? Well, I don't want to say though.
4813.
4813,
Yes.
thank you. For the municipal portion of your bill, and
That's on the average home.
on the average home, So it is not the same level of, it's not the same impact that number might purport. That's a number on the tax levy, and I just want to make that clear for everyone. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mangan. I am going to ask for a motion to open up to public comment on agenda items only. Before I do that, this is just on anything that appears on the agenda. If you have another thing that you'd like to discuss or raise, I'm going to ask you to hold it for some subsequent time. But anything that is on the agenda, please make reference to what item on the agenda you are referencing. Please state your name and your municipality for the record. You will have time, 3 minutes. I will let you know when that time has expired. Can I have a motion to open to the public on agenda items only?
I'll offer.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Please. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Name is Sergey Tolstoy, Hackensack. And this is in response to Mr. Magnan's budget preparation.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you
presentation.
hold up? Can you crane? See if that will crane up a little bit higher. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So the Division of Local Government Services is now reviewing what the new mayor of Jersey City asked all his departments to cut 10% of their budget. They held community meetings in each ward to discuss the budget and welcome a fiscal monitor that would come with transitional aid, saying, We have assembled a broad, unified coalition of elected leaders from across Hudson County, business leaders, union leaders, and community leaders. We're asking the state to provide at least $150 million in transitional aid to Jersey City's 2026 budget. And he said, we view this as a bridge to unburden the Jersey City taxpayers, the residents. Patterson has gotten from the state in any of the previous 15 years. In the past 3 years, the city has received between $25 million to $29 million in transitional aid from the state. Patterson State Aid application listed the budget line items with the largest increases: $24 million for health insurance, $4.7 for fire department salaries, $4 for the police salaries, and $1 million for the solid waste disposal, and about $500,000 for workman's comp claims. The city, he said, would face an untenable choice: either impose tax levy increases or pursue reductions that severely would compromise the public safety and essential operations. So I ask that basically we look at these things that is provided for in the state statutes and use them effectively rather than doing anything to burden the Hackensack residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Fred Miller, back up here again, 134 Cedar Avenue. Looking over the budget, I saw that there's roughly $135 million in debt, with $16 million roughly in anticipated interest, for an annual interest rate of 11.8%, which I think is gross to the taxpayer for the debt that we pay. And should we look at restructuring our debt to a more favorable rate in one way or another, even if we got a rate around 6%, that would be $8 million in realized savings. Looking at other areas to bring in revenue, outside of the pilots, which we always talk about, the county has their hands in our pockets like none other. The jail and the homeless shelter contribute nothing. If you have a hotel, you pay an occupancy tax and it goes to the city. Passaic sends at $122 a day inmates to our jail. Those inmates, when they're released, are released on our streets. There is something that should come back to the city as a revenue to us for this trouble. Looking at salaries and benefits, I work in the private sector. I pay a lot. So I don't care that it's only $50 a month. We're anticipating county taxes, utilities, insurance, in other areas, auto and life and whatever it may be. Everything's going up. Every penny counts. Looking at what our employees of the city contribute and what people in the private sector contribute, if there's such an increase in healthcare, are they contributing accordingly? The median income for a household with a family in Hackensack is $108,000. Many of our public servants make twice the median family income. I propose that there is no cost of living adjustments until that comes in line with the reality of the people around us. Outside of that, services provided to the city, if you're going to raise taxes and provide these exorbitant salaries, need to be better. Our school districts, when you look at Realtor.com, need to be above a 4 out of 10. When you look at police on their details, they should not be in their car, on their phone. They should be out directing traffic. I don't care if it is a side street or a busy street. It is a slap in the face, and there's a lot of problems that I see commuting around town. We got new garbage trucks. I could show you pictures on my phone every week. Recycling, could you please not spill it in the street, and if you do, pick it up? That's not acceptable to me with the taxes that I pay. So with that, I ask that we figure ways to do better and not burden us when we're already the highest paying taxpayers in the country.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. First of all, let me give my comments to the administration and also to the CFO that bravely stood here and took all of that.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. Just your name.
I'm sorry. My name is Reverend Robert Coles. I'm a 30-year member of this community. I've lived here for 30 years plus. I just want to talk about or address the professional presentation part of the agenda, okay? And I'm just going to read through some things, some just notes, and some of them you've already covered, which were pretty obvious to me. One thing I would say, I would hope that this administration would give this man a lot more power than he appeared to have in the previous administration. Because some of the questions that were asked, he should have been able to answer, and it seemed like he wasn't, or if he didn't know, or if he couldn't say, I don't know. But he should be telling us this is what we should be doing. If this budget is short here, just make it known to them so that they can see it. Then if they still choose to go on, then that's off of you. But right now, I'm not sure how much power you really had, okay? We have pilot programs. Pilot programs can be good if they're managed correctly. I have a church in Montclair. Oh my God, they're going through the same kind of thing. But you have to be wise in how you use them. If you have 3,000 new places for people to come and live in your town, obviously you're going to need more police, you're going to need more fire. You can't be cutting police. You can't be cutting. I'm a 30-year resident here. Never have I remember in my 30 years somebody getting shot around the corner from my house. Never do I remember somebody getting stabbed in front of the police station. Never do I remember situations where people can't walk the street safely, okay? These houses are going to bring places of staying. I won't even call them houses. They're mostly apartments. They'll bring in an influx of people, okay? I'm just going to run down. I only have 3 minutes, so let me just run down some of my notes, which some of you already covered greatly, okay? What are some causes of the spending increases? Okay, I'm going to just review. Medical insurance budgets, okay? Highest health care expenses. What group? What group offers the highest health care expenses? That's what I want to know. I would think it would be the police and fire, but maybe not. So I'd like to know, is it the garbage man? I'm not sure. Who is it? That's what I'd like to know from this meeting. Do our health care contracts contain claim limits? How can you have runaway claims? The rule is there's a claim limit. You go to that limit, and if it's above that limit, you got to pay. Why reduction in claim growth around period when we know administration took over? Deputy Mayor, God bless you. Thank you for asking that question. It was eating me up. Okay, the first 4 years, we saw a revenue increase for us. It was an advantage. After that, why go to 6, 7, 8, 9, and even 10? When you see, obviously, you recognize a negative revenue relationship between the pilot growth and the revenue benefit. Also, with all of this construction, why are we lowering the budget of the extra revenue increase? Why aren't there more construction charges to people who are building in our town? How can we be lowering we should be raising the budget. And the revenue increase from that experience should be getting higher. So we shouldn't be lowering the budget. Those are the questions that kind of worried me. Hopefully you guys, I really applaud you for your fiscal prudence in doing this. And I think and hope that you will take a bigger part in the budget process and giving us some transparency on what your plan is, okay? We can't be talking about cutting police or okay, so maybe we got to make some adjustments to healthcare. I'll give you an example. 25 years I have.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I thought you were closing.
I am.
So it's okay.
It is.
We're over time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Josh Cohen in Hackensack. I had some questions, comments about the Baldwin Park project. I live very close to there. I walk my son goes to school in Fairmount. We walk through that park twice a day on the way to school, on the way home. We often take nighttime walks during the summer to go through there, so we're really familiar with it. If there is a splash pad going in, I could see us as potentially making use of that. But my questions were about why a splash pad over other projects, and how is a splash pad rooted in the community? And I'm not sure I heard any of that. So I looked through the open space plan on Baldwin Park, right? And so this census tract that we're in, we have less than 3 acres of open space, right, in that area. You think of Fairmount area, it's a little more green. We have tree-lined streets, but we don't have open space. It's Baldwin Park and Fairmount. And Fairmount is listed in the open plan as passive park. Baldwin is your active park. So you have 14% of residents are under 18, 15% are over the age of 65. That's the highest senior population in the city, and you have a significant Spanish-speaking population. We know that we have I think it's called a foosball, or the court that's there. It's very used in the evening, and so I'm curious, like, have we reached out to the people that really use this space to understand how they want it to be used? I think you'd be taking away that court, which would be one less field available to people. I know we're short on fields anyway, as stated in the open space plan. So I'm just not sure how it all fits together, right? And the open space plan also had like pretty specific suggestions on what to do there. It said, make it accessible to older people by putting in benches with backs, more seating, more shade. There's really not much seating at that park at all. It did say to replace or improve the paving for walking and make a walking path. You are doing that right now. That's great. I love that. It also suggested even doing some kind of a green link between the two parks there, so you could connect them to and bring more people between both and make a safe way to walk, because we do often walk from our house through the park to stop at the playground and then go get ice cream at the other park. And so having a nice way to do that would really link things together. Again, yeah, all my questions are, and the school. My son is always in that park during the day for outdoor space. Fairmount doesn't have green space. They do all their events in Baldwin. Have you considered the school in any of this? Have you gotten feedback from the PTA? Have you gotten any feedback from the community on it? Those are my questions around it. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing? Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Al Gulino. I reside in 138 Cedar Avenue. And it's one thing that I don't understand. I'm 82 years old, my wife is 76. And the part that we don't understand is why we still have to pay school taxes. I don't have any kids in the school. My kids, I understand I have to pay the garbage, the snow removal, and by the way, the snow removal this year and the year previous, for the last 22 years since I live in Hackensack, they clean the snow in some way to annoy everyone. I clean my driveway, 5 minutes later they pass the truck, they lock the driveway. The crosswalk, the same thing. It's my responsibility, the crosswalk, because if somebody falls on my sidewalk, I have problems. I have to go every 20 minutes, half hour to clean that. I mean, it's a few things, but the most annoying part is the school taxes that we have to pay. I don't have any kids. My kids are big, very big. After 82 years old, my kids are older than most of the people over here. So it's something that we'd like to see if they can look after this, okay? I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on any agenda item? Okay. Seeing none, motion to close to the public on agenda items only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We are moving on to ordinances for second reading. New business, Resolution 106-26.
Resolution 106-26 is the final adoption of Ordinance 05-2026, an ordinance to amend Chapter 170 of the Code of the City of Hackensack, Vehicles and Traffic, to update various parking regulations. This ordinance has been published according to law and now calls for a public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a motion to open to the public on this ordinance on, oh, I'm sorry, wait a second. Motion to adopt Resolution 106-26.
Oh, open to the public.
Oh, open to the public. Okay, we're good. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. I'm starting to expire. All right, so, okay. Motion to open to the public on this this resolution only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Seeing none, motion to close to the public on this ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 107-26.
Now we need a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm
to
so
adopt.
sorry. You know? All right, so, yes, call the roll, please.
We need somebody to motion to introduce.
Motion to introduce. That's right, okay.
Yeah.
Motion to introduce.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Toomey.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark Collins.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 05-2026 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 107-26.
Resolution 107-26 is the final adoption of Ordinance 06-2026, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This ordinance has been published according to law and now calls for a public hearing.
Thank you. Motion, can I get a motion to all open to the public on this ordinance?
I'll motion.
Ooh.
Second.
Who wants it?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to adopt Resolution 107-26.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Deputy Mayor Toomey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Clark Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Carroll.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 06-2026 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Ordinance for first reading, Resolution 108-26.
Resolution 108-26 is an introduction of Ordinance 07-2026, an ordinance to amend Chapter 148 of the Code of the City of Hackensack, Streets and Sidewalks, Article 2, General Regulations and Restrictions, to clarify the obstruction of fire hydrants.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please? A motion to adopt Resolution 108.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Toomey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Clark Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Carroll.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance, being Ordinance 07-2026, as introduced, does now pass on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on May 5th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the clerk be and he is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, please.
The following items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda, and consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes, including any exceptions and/or additions. The consent agenda includes Resolution Number 109-26, Resolution authorizing the payment of bills, Resolution 110-26, Resolution authorizing tax refunds, Resolution 111-26, Resolution authorizing tax appeal attorney to settle the cases on the attached list dated March 20th, 2026, that were scheduled for trial or settlement, Resolution 112-26, Resolution authorizing 100% veteran tax exemption for 60 Vanderbeck Place, Unit 3B, Resolution 113-26, Resolution authorizing grant agreement between the City of Hackensack and the State of New Jersey DEP for Green Communities Forest Management Plan Development. Resolution 114-26, Resolution authorizing the approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Hackensack Pedestrian Safety Project. Resolution 115-26, Resolution authorizing the submission of a 2026 Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund grant application for the Baldwin Park Splash Pad project. Page's got a little. My apologies. Missing a page. Sorry about that. After 115-26, we have Resolution 116-26, which is a resolution authorizing the introduction of the Main Street Business Alliance Incorporated 2026 budget. We have Resolution 117-26, resolution authorizing raffle licenses. Resolution 118-26, resolution authorizing temporary adjustment to the city park hours from April 1st, 2026 through November 30th, 2026. Resolution 119-26, resolution authorizing the award of a co-op contract for the purchase of infrared heaters for the Department of Public Works garage. Resolution 120-26, resolution authorizing the award of a co-op contract for the purchase of 2 bar rake assemblies for the axial flow pumps located at the East Kennedy Pump Station. Resolution 121-26, resolution authorizing the settlement of the workers' compensation matter filed by James Luther, pending in the New Jersey Division of Workers' Compensation case number 2021-8394. Resolution 122-26, resolution authorizing the settlement of the workers' compensation matter filed by Michael Brancato, pending in the New Jersey Division of Workers' Compensation case number 2024-12553. Resolution 123-26, resolution authorizing the purchase of a used tower ladder truck from the Borough Fair Lawn as a reserve backup. Resolution 124-26, resolution of need for affordable housing pursuant to the provisions of the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency Law of 1983 as amended and the rules promulgated thereunder. Resolution 125-26, resolution authorizing tax appeal attorney to settle the cases on the attached list dated April 20th, 2026 that were scheduled for trial or settlement. That's the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I have,
before we do that, I'm asking the city clerk to please pull item 10, resolution number 115-26 for the Baldwin Splash Pad project. Please pull it.
Okay. So we'll call that separately.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Anyone else need anything pulled or want anything pulled? Okay. All right. So, motion, can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda with the exception of resolution 115-26?
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Toomey,
Aye.
Councilwoman Clark Collins,
Aye.
Councilman Carroll,
Aye.
Councilman Diaz,
Aye.
Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
Consent agenda passes.
Okay, thank you. Motion to, yes, okay. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 115-26? Once we have the motion and we get a second, we'll pause for some discussion in case people want to discuss, okay? Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 115-26?
Second.
Okay. Just checking. Any discussion on resolution 115-26? Okay. You want to? Here you go.
I asked that the splash be pulled because it needs more discussion. As the council representative for the recreation department, recreation board rather, is the one who recommended the splash park. We had discussed several options for the area that is in discussion is a closed-in area that right now has nothing in it. So the board discussed what can we put there, and we thought that the splash park would be a good idea. But apparently there are concerns, and justifiable. I want to take this time too to make clear one thing that has been said, that we need to fix the things we already have. Well, the splash pad was part of an additional grant. There is a grant in place that is fixing Baldwin Park. So I just wanted to make that clear. This is an addition to what's already being planned for Baldwin Park. I want to pull it because we have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks we meet every first Wednesday of each month, the recreation board. And I would like to invite everyone to that meeting. It's open to the public, just like every other meeting. It's at 6 p.m. on Wednesday the 6th, and we can revisit the splash pad. One thing I did realize, because of a letter that was sent from a resident, is that there is no bathroom facility in that park, which would probably be needed for a splash park. But we have splash parks in other parks. Do you know exactly how many? I know there's one in Carver.
There's one in Columbus.
Yes.
In Columbus.
We have one at Polyfly Park, which services the south end of the city. We have one at Carver Park, which services the center of the city. And that's why it was believed that one in the northern part of the city would service the rest of the residents equally.
And as far as I know, there have been no legal incidents. Is that correct? Okay, just want to make that clear as well.
As far as I know, yes.
So, with that said.
Yeah, and I'll just add, this was not looking to ram something down the neighborhood's throats. This was really what was perceived as to be a positive.
That's something they could use because of the north side.
If that's not the case, we'll certainly, as the councilwoman says, the rec will revisit that.
Correct.
So can I ask, before we unilaterally make a decision here, is there any deadline? Is there any limitation to this grant? Is there any reason why we need to take action or should take action on this now? Or is this something that, in terms of the specs of the grant, we can table
revisit
it and then revisit it?
I'm not familiar. I know there was a deadline. Tim, you might be more familiar. You see in the paperwork.
Yeah, there's an application deadline of the 24th of April in order to submit for this grant with this opportunity.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know if there's
All right.
future
Yeah, this was
opportunities.
a specific deadline for this particular grant.
So,
Specific to the splash pad.
I'm sorry?
The notification for the public hearing is specific to the splash pad, so we kind of have to start over again and if you change the scope of the project.
And then the deadline would not.
Correct.
And then how much, can I ask, how much I don't know if these are answers people have at the ready, but how much is the grant that we're talking about? $295,000.
Well, it was in total 498,000, but it was the overall project, and we were half. So it was 248,000, roughly, would be approved as part of the grant application.
Okay, so what I'm going to, I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to ask, it's my understanding that we could apply and then ultimately reject the grant. Is that accurate?
I believe that's the case, yeah.
Right,
And
so-
there's no guarantee we get awarded the grant
Right,
either.
and even
so.
if you got it and didn't want it, you could reject it. Is that accurate?
I believe so,
Yeah, I
but
believe that's
you're the
accurate.
attorney.
So can I, just to make sure I'm clear also, because of the noticing requirement, we have to notice and have a public hearing. But because of the deadline to file for the grant, it sounds like, putting it frankly, there isn't really the ability to even have a plan B because we wouldn't be able to notice and we wouldn't be able to have.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
But I believe the prudent thing would be to pass this section of it. If the public decides and the rec advisory committee decides to go a different route, we can just withdraw our application, I believe. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mr. Manager?
Makes sense?
So, okay. Anyone else from the public, not from the public, it has been a long day, everyone. Anyone else from the council have any questions, concerns? No? Okay, so there was a motion to adopt. There was a second. So if you can call the roll, please.
Deputy Mayor Toomey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Clark Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Carroll. Aye. Councilman Diaz.
Aye.
Mayor Gaines.
Aye.
Resolution passes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to, and thank you for it's a good conversation to have. Thank you. Moving on to public comment. This is public comment on anything that you'd like to raise. Again, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name, your municipality when you come forward. And once again, I will do my best to stop you at 3 minutes, please. Motion open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Doreen Fraga, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. I'm with Animal Protection League of New Jersey, and it was brought to our attention that 20 geese were rounded up last year on the city property during the molt period when geese are flightless. Someone granted permission to the USDA to access the city's property to round up the geese and lethally kill them by gassing them. Our wildlife mitigation team met with Fred from DPW. We passed a packet of information. He was supposed to speak with, I'm not sure, maybe the mayor and the council members, and he was going to address the situation. We had recently met with him not too long ago, and he said that the borough administrator had signed off on the USDA contract, and so they're going to kill the geese again this year by actually putting them into a gas chamber and gassing them to death. So, we were asking if you could cancel the USDA contract, work with us on non-lethal solutions. There are a whole bunch of non-lethal solutions that work, and we have, used them in Elmwood Park, we used them in Garfield, and just recently, Grand Manor condominiums, they canceled the USDA. They were also part of this, I do have the reports, they were part of this last year, and I just found out on Saturday that they canceled the USDA. So we're actually hoping that the city of Hackensack would do the same and work with us, and it's of no cost to you. And this was the report, the FOIA report, where Hackensack, the amount of geese that were killed, and Grand Manor, the amount that they killed last year, that are no longer being killed because they canceled the USDA. And all it would take is a phone call to Aaron, who is the state director of the USDA, and then just tell them that you don't want the geese, killed, and you don't want access to their property, to your property. And I also have the letter that Grand Manor had sent to the USDA and the response back from the USDA where they are not going to kill the geese. So, and I think she...
Valerie Devine, Morris County. Continuation here. Our wildlife mitigation team specializes in working with municipalities, lake communities, corporations, and developers. We have enclosed a list of non-lethal methods in this packet, along with the Bergen County ordinance passed by the Bergen County Commissioners, stopping all lethal roundups with the USDA in all Bergen County parks and municipal lands. We hope the city of Hackensack will cancel the USDA and their lethal roundups. Please, and work with our team on non-lethal alternatives. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you can leave that information with the clerk, please. And that data that you have, that's from 2025?
Yeah, because the the FOIA reports on the Freedom of Information Act, they're always like a year behind.
Got it, okay.
Since 2026 didn't happen yet. It happens, the geese lose their flight feathers at the end of May, and they're in complete molt in June, so they can't fly. So they're able to be rounded up. The USDA comes in, they do it one day during that molt period. The molt period will go from, say, the Father's Day week all the way into probably the first week of July, maybe the second week of
Okay.
July.
I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry. There are people waiting behind you, but I just wanted to. But we have the info, and also I just want to make sure that that everything that's included in there. But
Yes, is there someone that I can follow up with?
so what I'm going to do is, if you stick around to the end of the meeting, I'm going to refer you to Tom Freeman, our city manager, to give your information and take his information, and then you can liaise with him.
All right,
He'll get
thank
back to you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Sergey Tolstoy. I'd like to have a 5-second moment of silence for the 2 individuals killed in the Bronx fire today. I'd like to commend the City Council and Red Cross for doing their due diligence and implementing a free fire detector program in the city of Hackensack. It's something that every municipality should be doing. Senseless deaths are happening and we need to stop it. It was like 4 years ago that I stood before the previous council who ran on a record of election of building a brighter future for all residents. It was an employee of a medical company, a former employee of a home comfort equipment maker, a teacher, and a youth coach, and a homemaker. That they worked to establish a cannabis zone in Hackensack, accept in lieu of taxes payments, provide minimum government support during Tropical Storm Ida, and start and push a coal indifferent of clustered living environments. So I say today, whereas New Jersey State Statutes 40.48-2 authorizes a municipality in New Jersey to make and amend and repeal and enforce ordinances as it may deem necessary and proper for the good government, order, and protection of persons and property, and for the preservation of public health, safety, and welfare of the municipality and its inhabitants. So Section 31 of the CREAM Act has what we call a 5-year reconsideration window, which at the end of August 2026 would make it become necessary that every 5 years thereafter, municipalities have a new 180-day period to pass an ordinance prohibiting one or more classes of the cannabis establishments. It was the previous council and their narrative of vices upon the city of Hackensack, New Jersey, the county seat of Bergen County, to implement chaos into the lives of users of such and the children, the families, and the community. We need to,
Mr. Tolster, I'm just going to ask you to.
we need to only ask the relatives, the social workers, and the Hackensack PD and the area hospital workers of the courage that is needed by this present council to correct this injustice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Rich Serbo, Spring Valley Avenue, and the traffic continues unabated. It's ridiculous on that road. Okay, just if somebody would come and spend the day there, you could sit on my porch, okay? Spend the day about looking over what's going on. The buses are just incredibly disturbing, okay? They're speeding, they're huge, they're too heavy for that road, by the way. That was previously posted, I mean, a generation ago, they posted that road for nothing over, 4 tons? Those buses are too heavy for that road, okay? And when they go by and they speed by, they shake every glass on the shelves in my house. So it's like, it's insane. Okay, just a couple of things. Education, okay? We were talking about it the other day, and I think Jersey has reached the lowest point this recent year, and it's gone below states like Mississippi and Alabama, which were traditionally always lower than we were. But we spend the most money here on education, and we're not getting our money's worth, okay? Same thing with taxes. We spend the most here on freaking taxes, but we don't get anything. What do we get? What are we getting for what we pay for? And that's the gist of my thought tonight is, why can't we start getting our money's worth? We're paying so much for so little, okay? And people are getting generously paid. They're getting generous benefits, and I think it's time to question that. All right, let's question taxes. Let's question education, because we pay for that too. The education, we're not getting our money's worth. We pay, and you would know more about that than I do, Mr. Gaines, that we're not getting our money's worth from spending so much on everything. So let's cut back. Let's not spend so much. Let's spend less. Government costs too much, okay? Thank you.
I'm back again. Fred Miller. But I wanted to say thank you to these two ladies. I didn't know about the USDA Roundup, but as an animal lover, I would support non-lethal means as a resident. So I would ask you to take them seriously and consider what they have to say. And piggybacking off of that, maybe working with Bergen County Animal Control, taking a walk behind the houses on Coles, which you go through Lakewood. You could walk behind and get to Stye Park that way. Along the river, there is no shortage of housing and residents feeding feral cats. So maybe getting them to look at non-lethal, but maybe sterilization, so that they're not repopulating as crazy as they are. It's worth a look back there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bergen County does not do the geese control control anymore.
Good evening, Marty Smith, Prospect Avenue. I'm a member of the Condo Co-op Advisory Board's Traffic Safety Committee. Mayor, can you tell me if the council has reached a decision on the recommendation that we made to enact a traffic safety ordinance that would make it illegal for a pedestrian to talk or text on a cell phone while crossing the street? Many communities throughout the country have already done this with very positive results in seeing reductions in their pedestrian accidents.
I promise you I will give you an answer. But can you finish up your comment? But I promise I'll give you an answer, unless that's it.
You haven't come to a decision
No,
yet?
that's not what I'm saying. I'll answer your question, but I just want to make sure that you use your time.
Okay, thank you. Second item, Mr. Freeman, can you tell me if your office has been in contact with Bergen County Traffic in the suggestion that we made to you concerning the elimination of the merge points on Summit Avenue at Essex Street for northbound traffic, and also at Polyfly Road and Essex Street for northbound traffic, where there are merge points on the north side of Essex Street with a reconfiguration of the traffic lanes that are available?
I did not talk to the county yet. We're still talking internally, but I do recognize your concern, and I agree with your concern, so we will be following up on it.
Okay. The next thing I'd like to visit is the thing we brought up several years ago to the previous council, and that was reducing the speed limit on Summit Avenue between Spring Valley and Passaic. In 2024, there was a survey done by the Bergen County Sheriff's Department for a week's period of time in which they surveyed 88,000 vehicles traveling that section of Summit Avenue. The posted speed limit is 35 miles an hour, and the average speed of all vehicles surveyed was 38 miles an hour. That speed is too fast for a residential street. The intersections between Passaic and Spring Valley Avenue, of the 9 intersections, 7 of them have no crosswalks. All 7 happen to be T intersections. The only 2 with crosswalks are through intersections at Anderson Street and 1 street further north. The other thing I'd like to bring up, if I have any time left.
You have about 20 seconds left, so you can try it.
Not
Go for
enough
it.
time.
No? Okay.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you. But I will, if you have a seat, I promise you will get an answer. I promise you will get an answer. But I'm going to call up once public comments are done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Gerald Francis Jr., 268 First Street. I'm not complaining about anything. I just wanted to let you guys know that I've had the privilege of, because I do Uber. So when I do Uber around town, I always ask the people I pick up in Hackensack who are not from here. Because obviously we all know that the city has swelled a lot. We have a lot of people from New York moving over here and, things of that nature. But every time they come in my car, the first question I ask them is, where are you from? And they tell me where they're from. And then I ask them, so what do you think about Hackensack? How do you feel about Hackensack? I get the same answer all the time. It's quiet and it's safe. And that kind of makes me feel good because, I feel like even though the city is swelling, we had incidences that have happened weeks ago and stuff like that. But I really feel like that can happen anywhere, right? Not to throw any shade on that, because I'm not throwing shade on that at all, because that's very serious. But to have people that come into your city, into our city, who are not from here, and they just feel very homely, and they feel very welcomed. I think that's a good thing. But I really feel like us that are from here, because I'm born and raised here. And I know several, of you that's up here are from Hackensack. And I just really feel like we need to kind of share the love a little bit. I was one that was complaining about a lot of things around Hackensack. I kind of changed the tide within myself to actually just kind of just welcome certain things, like the downtown Main Street. Maybe it's not the best downtown, because everybody has their own opinion, but I kind of find it, very, nice. It's cool. It's good eateries, good restaurants, small businesses. We should support. If you live here, let's get out there and, get a good bite to eat. There's good places out there. And if you want to follow me on Hackensack Talks, follow me on Hackensack Talks. I do food reviews. I do a lot of things, but I just wanted to share with you guys the good side of things that's going on in Hackensack, because there are a lot of good things that's happening, and I think we all need to acknowledge that and be grateful for that. So that's all.
Before you leave, you still have a little bit of time. Quick question, rapid fire. If you're going to recommend one place to get a bite to eat on Main Street, what's the place? Your time's expiring, so you got to go.
Paula's not.
Paula's?
I'm on TV, right? Damn, I can't say like that.
What's your answer? All right, that's it.
But no, I would tell you. And I was just there 2 weeks ago. It's called Guac Time.
Delicious.
That place is fire.
Delicious. Good rec. All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public? That's true. They didn't sponsor the meeting. It's a good meal there. Guac Time. All right. Motion to close to the public.
I offer.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? I have to apologize. I missed the city manager's report. I was so excited by the budget that I missed the city manager's report on the agenda. So before we go, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Sorry about that, Tom.
That's perfectly fine, and I really didn't want to follow up Jim's act anyway, so. And I have just a couple of quick things. Just an FYI, this Saturday at 10 a.m. we have opening day for Hackensack baseball and softball down at Fashini Park. It's always a great day, and kids are looking forward to it, and please show your support if you can. Another item is our rent stabilization board is in need of some members. If you go on the website, you'll see the application for membership. There's different levels of membership that are needed, but if you are interested, please go on the site and submit an application. And lastly, I did want to just acknowledge, although I know there's going to be something coming further, that Johnson Public Library, they received the 2026 Historic Preservation Award from the county. It was quite an undertaking. They actually took man-hours, I don't know how many, but they took all of the newspapers spanning 1858 to 1938, such as the Hackensack Republican, the Bergen County Democrat, and the Bergen Index, and they scanned them all, digitized them all, and they're now all searchable and printable and preserved for future generations. So that was quite a task that they undertook, and it was great of the county to recognize them for that, and they do a great job at the library, as I'm sure all of you will agree. And lastly, part of the commitment of this administration was to address resident parking concerns in the city. And just a quick update on that, we do have a new traffic enforcement officer that works midnights now, the overnight shift, and it's proven to be very, very productive as far as policing illegal parking in the overnight. So that was a really nice positive to hear. That's all.
Thank you, Tom. And before we go, I'm going to ask for Captain Weber to come forward just to address some of the traffic concerns that were raised this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, Mr. Smith. I spoke to you on the phone before, and I know you spoke to Lieutenant Capadonna from my bureau. As far as the summit, we did get another study from the county, and it's under review. The new study was done in the beginning of April, so that's under review. We'll get back to you with that. As far as the comments about talking to the county, I did speak to the county. I could speak on that if you like. So, with the county suggested, well, I told them about your concerns about the merge on Summit, basically heading north on Summit, just south of Essex Street. You were concerned about how one lane goes left and 2 lanes go straight, and there's a merge on the other side of the thing. That they don't think that they believe that should stay the way it is because there's such a backlog of traffic as it is with the 2 lanes going north, that they think that creating just 1 lane going north, that would create more of a traffic jam. But they did say that they're going to install a merge sign to let people know that there's a merge up ahead. So that's one thing they did say they're going to do. The one on Powellfly, I told them about that. I believe that left lane is probably used the most on heading Powellfly north, south of Essex Street. That left lane going onto Essex Street, they're going to look into that because I believe that was a good suggestion, that left lane should be a left turn only lane and 1 lane should be going north on First Street, and then the right lane to east Essex Street. They were going to look into that further, and they'll get back to us. And as far as the distracted walking type concerns, we all know that that's an issue, that people look down on their cell phones and don't pay attention. I think us, as well as other police departments in Bergen County and New Jersey, mainly feel like we feel like we want to target more the distracted drivers, because even if somebody is looking at their phone and they're in the crosswalk, they still have the right of way over the cars. So we believe that, and we do get a weekly safety bulletin from the Division of Highway Traffic Safety, and we put that out on our social media every week. And it does. Some of them have talked about distracted walking and pedestrians. So we believe it's we want to take more of an education campaign for pedestrians and let them, and trying to keep them aware about that concern about distracted walking. But we are in May, and I think that was part of one of the things that passed was that we got a grant for pedestrian safety grant in May and June. So we'll be out there enforcing vehicles crossing through the crosswalks, as well as jaywalking and pedestrian concerns. So we are getting a grant to do that. So yeah, I think that covers it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. All right, Deputy Mayor.
Okay then. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out. And I'd like to thank everyone for their presentations tonight. And I'd like to say, and I'd like to be clear, that we would like nothing more than to dwell on the past or repeatedly point to prior administrations. However, there are things that come up, like tonight's budget presentation by Mr. Mangan, and thank you, Mr. Mangan, for the extensive explanation on things. And I'm still a little perplexed on some of the ways that our city was run by the prior administration. There, I said it. Sorry.
We laughed in 90 seconds.
So, with that being said, we are in our first year, and we're almost coming to full circle, July 1st. And we've come upon a bunch of stepping stones, some bigger than others. But our focus is on addressing the challenges that come in front of us as they arise. Hopefully they'll start getting less and less because, like I said, we're coming full circle, and we've met up with everything that happens during the year, including our first budget. So this is our first budget. Not happy about it much, but we're managing as responsibly as we possibly can. We're trying to be as clear to everyone as we possibly can, given the circumstances that we've inherited. I said it again. We understand the concerns that have been raised. These concerns we share. We live here too. We own homes here too. And we are directly impacted by the same tax burdens as every resident in this community. So we hear you, and we're as frustrated as you are. But once again, we're committed to correcting these issues and ensuring stronger oversight moving forward. Thank you for your understanding and patience as we work through these challenging circumstances together. Again, thank you for coming out, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilwoman.
Again, I want to invite you to the recreation meeting, the Recreation Board meeting that will be held on May 6th at 6 o'clock. Please come out and invite your friends, and again, we can have that discussion about the splash pad. And of course, if the majority feels that it should not be part of Baldwin Park, then majority rules. I also wanted to say that I believe, and I love geese, and I also believe in non-lethal ways. So you have my full support there. I wanted to address the comment of tell it like it is. Well, I just wanted to say that it's really easy to come up and make comments, and things don't always work as you think they do. It's not always black and white, so to speak. There's a lot more involved in processes than you know. I'll give you an example. I have people a lot of times say to me, oh, there's still more buildings going up. I thought we were past that. Why are there still more buildings being built? Well, things that have passed, that were passed, cannot just be undone for legal reasons. Because if you tried to do that, then we'd be in major lawsuits. So my point is that you got to be patient. You have to be patient. We hear you. We hear what you're saying. And we're trying our best to work on a lot of things, to correct a lot of things that was previously done or wasn't done. So I also like to commend Gerald for coming out and saying something positive, because it's nice to hear something positive every now and then, other than complaints, and negativity. And I have to tell you, the years that the past administration was there, I did not see as many people as I see now. And I was part of the work group, and we used to always come out and sit at the meetings, and there were hardly ever anybody there. So I am happy to see you. I am happy to see more and more people getting involved. But just remember, be patient. Thank you.
Councilman.
I'll keep it short. Mr. Mangan, thank you for that report. Again, we can only make it better. You have to remember also, there were pilot programs before us. We came in, we immediately put a stop to them. A temporary hold, I should say, not stop, because they had contracts and we had to go through them and make sure that, know what they were about. So we did do that. I don't think there's anything in front of us at this point, right? Since we've been, as far as a building project, I think we have enough. So the next project, hopefully, is Baldwin Park. Thank you for coming out. That's all.
Thank you. Hey, Mayor. Thank you.
Hi, Councilman. How are you? Go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight and engaged in this great discussion about the budget. Thank you, Mr. Mangan, for your presentation. I think if there is one thing that I like about this budget, is the fact that you were able to probably clarify to some of the audience and all of us about why this budget, okay? So thank you again. We tackle some tough topics, and though our perspective on the how may differ, I know our hearts are all in the same place, working for the good of the community. We realize increases are difficult to hear, but at times they are unavoidable. I want to reassure that this council is dedicated to doing the work required to get us where we need to be. We hear your concerns, and we ask for your patience as these solutions take shape. So let's turn tonight's energy into progress. There is plenty of work to do, but I truly believe that we are on the right path. So thank you again for being here, and have a good one.
Thank you. So if you are one of those people, like I used to be, who just skipped a lot of the meeting and went to the council comments to see what people have to say, I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch the budget presentation, but the key takeaway is that this is a budget that is based on the 2025 spend. And the takeaway that I have is that facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. That's a quote from Aldous Huxley, as I trust Mr. Serbo in the audience knows. He's talking about literature and education quite often, so I hope that you caught that one. But you can't just turn a blind eye to issues and will them away. Facts are pesky things. They don't care so much about whether it's an election year. They don't care about how much money you spend on your campaign literature. They don't care about all those sorts of things, because facts have a way of, as someone I know likes to say, all knots eventually come to the comb. And now we are at the comb. And the deputy mayor mentioned that she is frustrated. I will tell you what I'm frustrated by. I'm frustrated that in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, there were clear signs that we were trending in the wrong direction economically. I am frustrated that for all of those years, all that we heard was that everything was going great in the city of Hackensack. And that as I watched rusted out garbage trucks and plows go down my street, and I got quarterly mailers of luxury buildings that I can never go in, that we were told that the financial situation in the city of Hackensack was great. That's what I'm frustrated by. I'm not frustrated by this budget because we're being responsible in doing what should have been done. I'm frustrated that we were sold a bag of goods for a long time, and now we have this spike that is the thing that we should be trying to avoid all along. And when I say we, I don't mean the five of us we. I mean we, the city, the previous folks that were sitting here, that like to condescend and school everyone about how we were all wrong to see what we were seeing, when this is the reality now. And it was always the reality. That's what I'm frustrated by. And so this budget, and I have full faith and confidence in the people that are sitting here, in our ability to ask questions of our professionals, of our employees, to make sure that we do our diligence and that we are honest and that we communicate with you, as we have done since we've been sworn in good times and in bad times. We have sent out some messages to say we can do better, and we have sent out some messages to say we think we're doing okay. Today, I'm going to say very clearly, they should have done better. They should have done better. Regarding seniors who would like to freeze their tax contributions, there is a program through the state, Stay NJ, I believe. So you can go onto the state website, Senior Freeze, and you can freeze that. And for anyone who is out there who is not a senior, who's thinking, now my taxes are going to go up, the state covers the cost. So the municipality still gets their taxes. The state covers it. So if you are a senior and you are saying, why am I paying taxes for this? I want to freeze, then freeze if you haven't done that. And that's not just for the folks who spoke, that's for everyone. But I just want to make that clear as well. I think I'm going to end it there. I'm going to say thank you to everyone for coming out. Again, we appreciate your engagement. It is important. This is our city. We are 5 people up here for you, but there are 47,000 of us. So thank you for speaking. And with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.